You hear from Paul Heyman back on October 10th on NXT in 2023 talking to Bron Breakker, and then you see Bron Breakker finish Monday Night Raw. We saw him lose the Intercontinental Championship at WrestleMania, but Bully, let me ask you, you're close to Heyman. How do you feel about Paul Heyman's now not one but two new Paul Heyman guys?
Do you remember me mentioning a certain group from back in the day that happened to be aligned with Paul Heyman?
You mentioned the Dangerous Alliance.
Yes, I did. Uncle Bully once again sees the things that others cannot see. Last night, I'm not saying that this is going to be a modern-day Dangerous Alliance, but boy, oh boy, did it feel like something last night. I love the fact that Bron Breakker will be aligned with Paul Heyman. When you have a talent like Bron Breakker, you should be putting him with somebody that he can constantly learn from. The minute Bron Breakker came into the ring, I thought of one person. Do you know who it is, Dave?
Who?
Brock Lesnar. Because Brock was special, and Braun is going to be special. And you want him learning at a very early stage. Paul will program Braun the right way. I said that I did not like the final shot with Seth at WrestleMania. Seth aligned with Paul. I felt better about it seeing it last night. I felt better listening to Paul announce Seth Rollins. This is completely new. This is completely different. I'm genuinely interested in where it's going to go. We have Seth Rollins now aligned with Paul Heyman. We have Bron Breakker now aligned with Paul Heyman. Seth's wife, Becky, decided to have a change of heart last night. You might be seeing a modern-day Dangerous Alliance. If you remember, wasn't Medusa associated with the Dangerous Alliance back in the day?
She was.
There was a female involved. Why did Becky Lynch decide to turn? Why did Seth decide to align himself with Paul? I don't know. Are we reading the tea leaves? Is the writing on the wall? We shall see, but I like the direction.
And listen, especially if Becky's going to be on Monday Night Raw along with Seth and they're both heels, why not? I think the wrestling fan knows that they're together. The wrestling fans know that they're married. So why not take advantage of it? We talked about Moxley, in AEW with Renee, where Renee uses different facial expressions when somebody's talking about Moxley. Why not do that in the WWE with Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch? And you can take it to another level because both of them are in-ring competitors.
And here is the positive about the potential. We don't know if it's going to happen. I mean, Becky can just be turning heel on her own and never be aligned or associated with Seth or Paul. But if they are, it's a much better idea than when they turned Becky Lynch heel back in the day, and me and you would come on this show every Tuesday morning and just be like, ugh, I'm not buying into Becky Lynch as a heel. Becky's not a heel. It's so forced. If anybody can turn Becky heel, it's Paul.
Yeah, I agree. And it's
if it was to happen.
If it was to happen, because you got a positive reaction for Becky last night. So you probably need to do something like that for the fans to buy in. But let's look at what we do have with Bron Breakker and Seth Rollins. Out with the old, in with the new. When you look at Seth Rollins and you look at Bron Breakker, Bully, out, like I said, out with the old, in with the new. Seth Rollins felt like a third wheel in this story last year. Up until like the last few weeks with the story this year, he felt like a third wheel. Seth Rollins no longer a third wheel. And then Bron Breakker loses the Intercontinental Championship. And now being aligned with Paul Heyman, just like that, Bully, Bron Breakker's a main event player in the WWE. What Paul Heyman does for you cannot be described well enough. You said in the story with Seth, Roman, and Punk, it wasn't about a championship. It was about Paul Heyman. Seth Rollins wins Paul Heyman, and he's elevated. Bron Breakker is elevated. Like, Bron Breakker, Bully, and you know this, knowing Paul Heyman the way that you do, Bron Breakker is now a made man in the WWE.
I don't know if he's made yet, but they've opened up the books and put his name in. It's going to be time. It's going to take time for him to be truly made. But if anybody's going to get him there, it's going to be Paul. Paul managed the Samoan SWAT team back in the day. Paul worked with and against the Steiners. Paul understands what makes a Steiner tick. Paul knows exactly what he has in Bron Breakker, because Bron Breakker basically is Brock Lesnar 2.0. I know he's not as physically impressive stature-wise, but Bron can do things that Brock couldn't. So when I totally get it. The minute Paul laid eyes on Bron, his wheels were probably turning from back in the day, knowing that if this kid moves forward, he's going to get to where the WWE wants him to be, and then Paul's going to take care of the rest.
Yeah, and Paul Heyman, he said it on Raw last night. He's already looking to WrestleMania 42. So when you're reading the tea leaves, I could see Bron Breakker versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 42. Hell, who knows? The way things are going, we may see Roman Reigns and Bron Breakker at SummerSlam at MetLife Stadium. You're going to start fantasy booking, because this is going to be the story moving forward. You know, CM Punk losing his best friend, Roman Reigns losing the wise man, the hatred. I mean, my goodness, we just saw Roman deliver a Superman punch to Paul Heyman last night. The anger and the animosity. Bully, this is going to make for some great storytelling on Monday Night Raw and SmackDown.
How did you feel about Roman getting his receipt on Paul so quickly?
They better have a chapter that we don't see coming, because you're right. Like, for it to get physical this fast, this early on, there must be something or some chapter that we're not seeing, because that was really quick to get some physicality on Paul Heyman.
Old school pro wrestling dictates that you wait and you play it out before the guy that got screwed over is able to get his hands on that manager. They decided last night, I'll say, to give us a taste. We got one good Superman punch, but maybe that's all we need, and now they're going to move forward.
Yeah, and I think it's even more, Bully, for CM Punk. We've seen Roman kind of manhandle Heyman in the past. But when it comes to CM Punk, that's best friend. That's heartbreaking. That's literally, you stabbed me in the back. Like, that's next level. So you still have that story to tell with CM Punk. And you got Roman and Braun, and then you got Seth and CM Punk. This is a great way to keep Seth and CM Punk in that story continuing, because I looked at that and I was like, I don't want to hear Seth talk about, yeah, Punk, you left and you were gone for 10 years, you turned your back on your fans. That's all in the past. This is another level with that feud, and now you can keep that story going.
And that's what it's all about, keeping the story going. So last night, a breath of fresh air, new stories, new characters, with somebody who's been the center of the main event universe for a long time in the WWE, and that's Paul Heyman.